Over the past 2 weeks or so, I've been really nailing down different programming languages, and I've just been super curious and I've been wanting to learn a whole bunch of different stuff. So I started with JavaScript, and I really like it. It's a super cool language. Like you can do a ton of really cool scripting within in Azure. You can do web APIs, all of that stuff. And then I started moving a little bit into C sharp, and that was super interesting as well. So what I want to show everybody in this video is how to create a Blazor app with Visual Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Visual Studio here. And if you're not familiar with Blazor, essentially, it's I don't want to say like it's a competitor of JavaScript, but it's, a web UI like you would typically create in JavaScript, for example. So it's kind of sort of a competitor, but I really like it and I really enjoy it. And I wanted to show all of you how to kind of create this in Visual Studio. So if you want to follow along, you will need to have Visual Studio 2019 installed at least. So you can either create a new project from here and go through and get the Blazor app, or you can do it from the terminal. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up my Windows PowerShell terminal really quick. Essentially, what I'll try to do is pretty much everything except when we actually open the code, I'll do it all in the terminal. So I'm just going to cd out of this directory here, and I'm going to type in .NET. Now, if you don't have .NET installed, like the command line, just make sure that you install that prior to moving forward, because we're going to be working primarily with the command line for creating and modifying the Blazor app. So we're going to go .NET new, and then we're going to get a little list here, and you can create a bunch of stuff, of course, with the .NET command line, but specifically what we want to use is the Blazor app. So we're going to use the short name for Blazor server, .NET new, Blazor server, and then the output, I'll just keep it in the C drive, that's fine, and we'll call it Blazor server 1, for example, for the project and the SLN. So this is going to go in, it's going to create the project, it's going to do a restore, and now we can go ahead and open that up in Visual Studio. So I'm going to go back, go to Visual Studio, and then I'm going to open up a project or a solution, and then at this point I can go ahead and figure out where my solution is. So go to Blazor app 1, then we'll open up this project here. So once this is open, as you're going to see, once everything loads, pretty much all the code is here for you already. But what I want to do is I want to run this locally. So I'm going to run this based off IIS Express, which is this is going to be built into Visual Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And what this is going to do is this is going to bring up the default page for Blazor for me. It's asking for an SSL cert if I want it. No, it's just a test environment. It's fine. We can click off of that. And then this is going to open up a local host on port 44331 for me. And this is essentially what Blazor looks like. So they have a few built-in little cool mechanisms, like they have a click me. It's a method in the code. There's also like a fetch data and stuff for the temperature, which is really cool. We can go ahead and we can minimize this. We'll stop the program from running. And then we can go ahead and look at the program itself. So, sorry, let's stop that again. So we'll open up program.cs and we'll open up the startup. So the startup is pretty straightforward. You're gonna have a few services here for the Razor pages, the ad server side Blazor, any singletons that are needed. And then you have a one if statement, one else statement, and then you have some methods that are being called from the application itself. So use HTTP redirection, static files, routing, any endpoints that you need. And this is a startup. The program, again, super straightforward. It's just two methods. The one method is literally just calling the other static method, which is going to be our main method here, and it's going to call for the build and the run, which is going to build, run, and push out our application so we can use it in a web browser. And then the second static method that we're going to have here is just calling the host type, and then from there we're going to be calling create default builder, and that's the default building for the Blazor app. And I want to go ahead and I want to look at the pages. So I'm going to open up like the counter page, for example, and the index page. So this is just one index, right? This is just like the root here. But let's say you kind of wanted to create another index or something like that, or you didn't want the hello world to be on the root directory. Maybe you wanted it to be like /hello or something like that. You can add the new page redirect here. We can restart the application. We'll pop this up in a web browser. And as you can see, sorry, there's nothing at this address because we moved the default route. But if we go to like slash hello, we'll be able to see that hello world new app here. We'll go to the counter. This is again one of the other pages, the slash counter. So this is like for the click me thing. So if I go here, counter, right, this is going to bring us to there. And then we'll also see one for the fetch data if we wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the application here. And then I'm going to go into the actual like app.razor. We can go ahead and we can open this up, and this is just going to essentially be like for the main layout, and then it'll be sorry there's nothing at this address, which is exactly what we saw when we tried to run the application before to the root and there was nothing there. So if I go back here, I change this back, for example, to just go to the root directory, it'll open up the hello world just fine. So this is of course just like a super little tutorial of getting it up and running and seeing some of the pages and seeing the application pop up. But I really do encourage you to go in and play around with Blazor. I mean, it's really great. I personally love it. I think it's going to be a really cool addition. So thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like these tutorials, if you like me to go more in depth, I definitely can. Just shout out and let me know. Thanks.